I'd really like to extend my deepest sympathy to our friends up at F6 Sheffield Wednesday for their tragic day of being relegated.
Lads.
Hi Blades, so 3 changes lineup wise today for United. Sanderberg started in the midfield, which could have been a bit of a surprising one. Keane Bryan started in the middle in replace of Bogle, and Ollie Burke started up front instead of Ryan Brewster. Nothing much to talk about really since our last game, not any major news. Probably something worth talking about might have been earlier today. We had the relegation decider in the Championship, where midweek Sheffield could be relegated to their self-proclaimed pub league. I thought it was nailed on they were going to stay up because they should have been relegated weeks ago. Alas, they did not, and we will not have a Sheffield derby for next season. Thank goodness. I cannot hack the nerves at all. And considering the state of our team at the moment, I much prefer to not have one. So we had about half an hour to actually enjoy what happened at the other side of the city until we took to the field and we showed why we should be in contention for being the worst team in Sheffield at the moment. It was horrendous, appalling, embarrassing, every adjective you could possibly think of to describe that goal. A minute into our game, I'm tired of saying it, but it's another mistake. Well, 4 to be precise. Baldock loses it in the middle. Eze gets it. Bryan steps out, shouldn't have. Egan comes towards Eze, didn't even bother to put a tackle in. Just take him down, free kick, that's all it's going to be. Baldock then steps out position rather than sticking with Benteke, gets a touch on his shot and goes over Ramsdale, which would have been an easy save. We need to cut out these mistakes because even though probably the Championship isn't as good of a standard and it doesn't punish you every time you do it, it will punish you if you make it the same amount of times that we're doing at the moment. It is really, really, really bad. And yeah, I don't know. I say the same thing every week, but nothing much else really happened in that half. They had all the possession. We got the ball and lost it straight away. Ramsdale made a fantastic save from Benteke about 5 minutes before half-time, diving low from his header. I don't care what anybody says. We will struggle to find a better goalkeeper than him at his age for the Championship next season and for a good price. He is fantastic and he's getting better every single game and will only get better and will be fantastic for us. So we need to keep hold of him at all costs, really, and we can't afford to be looking for another goalkeeper. But yeah, apart from that, nothing much else happened. Eze had a shot. Some stupid decisions by the referee, to be honest, giving yellow cards for nothing challenges, but apart from that, nothing. Massive change needs to happen in the second half to get any better than that and to even try and get a result out of this. So fingers crossed and let's see what happens in the second half. Up the Blades.
So, second half got underway at Bramall Lane and no changes for us at half time. We got off to a fairly steady start first 5-10 minutes. We got a corner on the 50th minute, whipped in by Ollie Norwood. It fell to John Egan around 10 yards out and he chested it down and hit a half volley. And I was just waiting for us to equalise, but it didn't quite connect right and it flew over the bar. And yeah, great chance for the Blades to get back into the game there really early on as well in the second half, but unfortunately it went to waste. And Palace started to get back into the game then, around 58 minutes. Benteke's nicked the ball off Fleck, drove at our defence, and I'm not sure if it hit Keane Bryan or Ramsdale saved it onto the post. But yeah, it hit a decent strike and it hit the post and went out for a corner. So both teams early on in the second half had some great chances. We then decided to make some changes. We brought Burge off for Osborne. And I thought Burge had a pretty good game considering he's been out for such a long time. He was making some really good runs and you can just tell his first touch is class. He's a Premier League footballer just stuck in our squad unfortunately. But yeah, he had an alright game and I thought Osborne come on and tried his best but couldn't really affect anything really. But moments later we got another corner after that. Norwood's whipped it in and it's fell to our other centre-back, Basham, who's volleyed it. He's hit it quite well actually, but he's hit the side netting and if it hits the target, it's probably going to go in. and it was another great chance for us wasted. And to be honest, a good team, I think that second half could have won that game against Palace, especially going forward. And then I guess another positive from the second half actually was Jemison come on. Made his debut for the Blades, 17 years old, and he come on for Ollie Burke. And actually, he had a great chance, to be fair. On 68 minutes, Egan's played a long ball. Bollock's made a good run in behind their left back. He's managed to get on the end of it, cut it back to Osborne, who whipped in a great ball. It's about 6 yards out, to be fair, cop end. It's fell to Jemison, but I think he's jumped too early and just headed it over the bar. And yeah, another great chance for the Blades to get back in it, but as we all know, it wasn't our day. Then Palace have tried to make some more attacking subs. They brought on Ayew, who had a huge chance on around 76 minutes. Zaha had wriggled his way past Basham in our box. He's found Ayew around 10 yards out in the middle of the penalty area. And he struck it, and it's hit Ender Stevens in the back of the leg and gone out for a corner, and that should have put the game to bed, to be honest. Yeah, that's another massive chance for both teams missed. A strange one happened at 80 minutes. Paul Heckingbottom brought on Lundstrom for Kean Bryan, and he had Brewster and Bogle on the bench, and he's decided to bring on Lundstrom, which actually unfolded quite badly. So around 87 minutes, there was a pathetic attempt to win the ball back by Lundstrom on Eze, in his own half, by the way, just on the touchline. Lundstrom's just, I don't even know what he's tried to do. He's got to win that ball there, or at least attempt to win it, but he's just put his body sort of towards it. Shocking attempt of a tackle, and Eze's ran from the right-hand side, our right-hand side. He's ran about 60 yards, again, without a challenge, twice this season from his own half. No one's tackled him. He's run into our box and hit a shot which is deflected past Ramsdale, and it's 2-0. And it just, I've never seen defending like it from a team in the Premier League apart from us, and it is horrific. It's a horrific goal to concede. And yeah, that ended the game 2-0, and that was pretty much how the second half ended. So I guess another defeat, another poor second half, another poor performance from the Blades, and it makes me question whether the board are looking at our performances and actually watching them, because it's got to that point now where Heckingbottom needs to go, because it's getting worse now every week, and unfortunately it's another loss for the Blades.
Hi everybody, Vic here, Pompey Blade. And first of all, I'd really like to extend my deepest sympathy to our friends up at S6, Sheffield Wednesday, for their tragic day of being relegated to Division 1. I must be serious about this now. It's a really sad day for Sheffield football. I can't be serious. Anyway, we played today apparently. Apparently we had a game against Crystal Palace this day that Wednesday got relegated. Just to let people know. Yeah, it wasn't a very pleasing game for us. We got beat 2-0 again, as expected really, because if you're going to play the same team with the same format, playing the same tactics, then you're going to get the same result. You know, if you don't change something, then it's going to get a bit samey. And it was the same. We got beat 2-0 by a Palace team who basically just outran us and outpassed us. It's the same story every week, really, isn't it? I mean, Heckingbottom doesn't seem to have changed anything since Wilder left, and like I say, the result is the same. Anyway, marks out of 10. Ramsdale. I thought Ramsdale had a fairly decent game. Again, his distribution is really poor. He boots it out to the flanks. It doesn't reach the players. So he makes poor decisions about kicking it long. That's one area where he does need to work on his game if he does stay with us next season. But apart from that, his reaction save from Benteke in the first half was first class, brilliant, and he did a couple of good saves in the second half. He is now starting to do his job, is Ramsdale, and he's starting to please me in a big way. He's starting to become Aaron Ramsdale that we had a few seasons ago, and he's starting to actually fill the shoes of Dean Henderson. It's a bit late in the season, but I'll take that. So he gets a 7.5 out of 10. Across the back, Baldock, I thought he had a pretty shaky first half. Second half, he was a little bit more advanced and could receive the ball a bit better. But still, it's the same old rough and tumble from Baldock, isn't it? You know, he was unlucky with the goal. He put a couple of good blocks in, etc., etc. But he's got a lot to deal with, and especially with Eze, you know, out there, who's a capable player. I think he had a fairly moderately decent game, but I'm still going to give him 5.5 out of 10. Across the back there, because we're playing a back five all the time, we've got Basham. Basham gives his all, doesn't he? You know, he did actually get himself up the flanks this match, and he did appear in some of the key areas. He's still got that bit of Bashamness about him on the ball, hasn't he? He's still controlled, composed, knows what to do with the ball. But the problem is he can't do it all on his own. So Basham gets a 6, and next door to him in the centre, Egan had a lot to deal with, really. I mean, if it wasn't Egan O'Brien marking Benteke, then Egan had a lot of covering to do as the advance went down the flank. So he was quite busy. He did put a couple of good blocks, good headers in, as you expect him to do. He's not a bad player, Egan, and I do hope we can keep hold of him next season. He gets a 6. Brian's still sort of, you know, he still lacks in a lot of areas, and he's still a bit of a championship player in Brian. He does try his best, and he puts some good blocks in today. But the problem is he picks the ball up, and he's another one that's trying to boot it long. Some of his sort of long balls today didn't work, and he's got to really just pass it out of defence or find the midfield. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. So Brian gets a 5 out of 10. A bit of a shame he was subbed actually in the end. I was a bit disappointed to see him go off, but I suppose if we had to go to a 4-4-2, he was going to be the sacrificial person to go. Outside of him, we had Ender Stevens. Ender Stevens, again, he's a bit leggy this season. He's struggling. You can see his head's not in the game again. You know, he's still not you can see his head's dropped, and he's a bit peed off about the outcomes of it all. He's not Ender Stevens he was last season, and certainly not Ender Stevens he was 2 seasons ago, where he was really flying up that left-hand side. Stevens, for me, gets a 5. Coming into midfield, Berger. Yeah, everybody's putting massive price tags on this guy. He's got a lot to do to impress people to be sold this season for a sufficient fee that's going to make us any money back. Today, there were glimmers. We can't pin our hopes on glimmers of hope from Sander Berg. You know, the guy's got to beat 3 or 4 people and go and bend it into the top corner for me. He's also got to dominate midfield. He's also got to impose himself, because he's a big old chap. In the same way that Matic used to, you know, for Chelsea or Man U. He's got to be able to have that sort of poise in midfield. And at the moment, he looks a bit nesh still. And I know he's trying to protect his injury, etc., and he's trying to protect his future capability. But we can't pin this reputation on what he could be. I want to know what he's going to be like now for Sheffield United. And really today, 4 out of 10 for me. Not really impressive. Maybe in the remaining games we might see some improvement, but he's got to get himself about. He's got to get himself stuck into tackles. He's got to win headers. He's got to dominate in midfield. He's got to get the ball at his feet and start beating players. He's not doing that at the moment. Norwood, next to him, 4 out of 10. I'm sorry, he's still, and that's only just a 4 out of 10. Sometimes his long balls worked, but they go nowhere. He finds Baldock on the far side, and Baldock has to come backwards. You know, he finds someone on this near side, and they have to come backwards. So what's the point in doing it? You're just showing off, Oliver. You know, you're just displaying that you're a one-trick pony. You can only do one thing, and that's knock the ball long. But most of the other times, you're either robbed on the ball, you're either beaten for pace. Eze had him tucked down his sock today, and it was really embarrassing to see him just trying to chase. When he did try to tackle Eze, he got booked, and that's really standard for him, isn't it? You know, he lunges into a tackle and he gets booked. So for me, Norwood gets a 4, and it's only just a 4. Outside of that, John Fleck seemed to be playing today. Sometimes it was Jimmy Fleck. I think he did a really, really fantastic block late on in the game, and then he went for another block and he bounced off him and rolled into the net. That was unlucky. I think there was some glimmers of hope for Fleck, but still, he's another player, much like Stevens, who's not the player that he was last season, and certainly not 2 seasons ago. You know, he's missing this kind of midfield synergy. You know, and again, I think his mind's not in the game. You know, and you look at what he was up to last week against Spurs. You know what happened there. It spells out to me a player who's working his ticket and wants out of the club. So Fleck gets a 4.5 out of that for me. Possibly a 5. I'll be generous. I'll give him a 5 out of 10. In front of him, there's McGoldrick. Again, graft and more graft. For a guy who's 33, 34, he doesn't have to put a shift in, and he really, really tries his best to be the sole person on the pitch that thinks football and thinks tactics and thinks position and thinks where he should be in 3 passes time. He's the only person that does it, but he's always overcrowded by about 3 or 4 players. When he's on the ball, people just home in on him and take the ball off him. And it's a shame because it doesn't do him any favours as a player, because he is a canny player and he always has been for us. And he will be the player of the season for us, without a doubt. He's put a real shift in today and got nothing, really. I don't think he even got a shot on target. Shame for him. He gets a 6 though for his effort. Next door to him, Billy was with his flip-flops on. Oliver Burke. Again, like I say, it was well late into the first half before I saw him touch the ball, even come near the ball. It was a bit disappointing. It's always disappointing. Yeah, he's got such pace on him, such drive. He steams past players, and then the ball gets at his feet, and it looks like he's got his hands on his feet and he's flapping it about. It's weird. It's a weird conundrum of athlete versus footballer. I don't even know what position he'd be good in. He's just got such blistering pace, and that's it. And if that's what we bought him for, I don't know what Wilder bought him for, and swapped him for Robinson, then that's a mistake. Today, struggling really to get a 3 from me. Substitutes, we brought Osborne on, who did his usual, runs about a lot, grafts a lot, little guy syndrome, I'm not going to be beaten, and still gets really nowhere. He had a real chance to smack a ball across the pitch late on in the game, kind of squandered that, a bit disappointing from him. He does put a shift in, does Osborne, and he's one of these guys that out of the panoply of rubbishness that we see actually shines out. Now, if the rest of the team was playing brilliantly like they were last season, the season before, Osborne would probably not feature so much, which is actually what the story was last season. But this season, because he's playing out of his skin and trying his best to actually breathe and live the game on the pitch for Sheffield United, he kind of stands out as an outstanding player. But when you actually break down his contributions and actually his effort on the pitch and what he actually does, it doesn't amount to anything. Osborne to me gets a 5 for his effort, as ever. Jefferson, wow, came on and within about 20 seconds he touched the ball. Pay attention, Oliver Burke. So he was straight into the game, touching the ball and involved, and got a chance with a header from across, just an inch too high for him to get a proper forehead on the ball and put it into the net and put us level. So he was instantly involved, a lot more than we've got, say McBurney doing, for example, and certainly, you look at the likes of Leeds Nozet, this guy looks like he's got capability. He's 17 years old. He's younger than my granddaughter. Wow, what a potential. I like to see this. I wouldn't mind seeing Antwin come on as well, see if he could give us a game, but nothing. Shame, but I like to give Jebs a 6 out of 10. He's encouraging. Let's see some more youth in it. Let's see them running out on the pitch. It could be better. Lundstrom, 2 out of 10. My word, that excuse for a tackle that he made on the touchline when Izzy just screamed past him up the touchline, and he was just left flapping like a paper bag in the wind as Izzy ran up the wing and then took everybody on and then took everybody on again and then went into the box and scored the goal. Rubbish, Lundstrom. Sorry, mate. You are gone at the end of the season. Really, seriously. And everybody knows it, and you know it as well. It's a shame because there are periods in the past where you will be remembered fondly. But that's a long time ago. I'm sorry. You're finished. If you get a game for United again, well done. But on today's short performance, when you have got a fresh set of legs, it wasn't good at all. Finally, Heckingbottom, I want to give him about 2 out of 10. You're not going to learn anything, Hecky. Basically, it sounds to me like you've got a USB stick in the back of your head which has got Wilder's tactics and plans on it. You need to change for the last remaining games, please. Take it from this layman who's watched Sheffield United now since about 1968, 67. Please change it. Just put like a 4-3-2-1 or something different on the pitch that gives us a different way through the pitch to get to goal, to get to the forwards, to give them the chances they need to score the goals. We got to stop this negative, regressive 8 at the back bit with a massive gap and the 2 at the front. It's got to stop. Show us that Sheffield United can play in a different way and give us fans some kind of belief that we are capable of something for next season. Because otherwise, see Sheffield Wednesday, that'll be us next season, and there's a big possibility that Sheffield Wednesday might rearrange themselves and replace us. Think on. Thanks ever so much, everybody, and it's great doing this, and thanks to the Sheffield United way for giving me the opportunity. I'll speak to you soon, and I'll see you all on S24SU for a punch-up probably later on. Take care, this is Pompey. Up the blades. Bye-bye.
Time for the positives and negatives out of that one. The section of Fans React where Nick stitches up a member of the Fans React team to try and find a positive out of a Sheffield United performance, because this easily could be called what negatives have we got this week, because there aren't many positives. Well, good news is I found a positive from today's game, and that is the 22 minutes that Daniel Jebison got in a Sheffield United shirt, coming on for his Blades debut at 17 years of age. It seems both games against Crystal Palace was an opportunity for the youngsters, because Antoine Hackford got a game up at Sellers Park again late on. For the other games, we've seen a mixture of youngsters on the bench, but not really given the opportunity. Surely, with 3 games to go, Hecky, you know the under-23s better than anybody. Come on, give the youngsters a go. Give them a go. See what they can do. We've got nothing to lose. We're down. We're going to finish bottom of the league. Give them a little bit of experience and see what's happened. That will be a positive to come out of what has been a dismal season. Now the negatives. It's take your pick, isn't it? It was a slow start. The 3 centre-backs look like they're already on the beach, ready for the holidays. The team selection, I'm not going to go there. It's not going to be Hecky next season. Surely not. And then we had a good 15 minutes. And then what did he do? He brings on John Lundstrom. What's the point of bringing John Lundstrom on? Honest to God, I can't believe he brought Lundstrom on. There's no need. No need at all. Up front, we're not scoring goals. We cannot score goals. We're not creating like we should be. We made Crystal Palace look like a good side, and let's be honest, they're not that great a side, but they're doing a lot better than us. Anyway, I will leave it with the biggest positive of the lot. There's only 3 games left. Just 3 more times we have to come in front of these cameras this season and try and find positives, try and find negatives, try and be upbeat, try and see where Sheffield United are going to go. In 3 games, this season will be over, and I, for one, cannot wait. It's been a disaster. It's been horrendous. Nick and Hal have done a sterling job on the watch-alongs, trying to make light out of those performances. Roll on full-time against Burnley when the season comes to a close. We can look to get a new manager in, get Sheffield United back on track, get winning games, get off to a flyer in the Championship, do a Norwich, do a Watford, and get our place in the Premier League back in front of a packed Bramall Lane. And the final message, if you're one of those fans against Burnley, no matter how bad this season is, just give it your all, sing your hearts out, applaud the lads. They've missed us, we've missed them, we will be back. Come on the Blades.